All right, good morning. It's Saturday, October 4th. It is week 2 of October. Weird, and wonderful. And we're doing a little part two situation from a continuation from last week. So drop a one in the chat if you were here with us last week. So one if you were here, drop a two if you did your homework. It's the first time I've given homework on a call. And if you don't remember, or if you were not here, I'll give you guys a real quick refresh. All right. I like to see it. I like to see it. Okay. So last week we talked about doing the work, right? We hear it all the time. Do the work. Become the person you need to become, who gets the things done, who achieves the goals. But really and truly, like what does that mean? What are we actually talking about when we talk about doing the work? So, just to kind of set the foundation, and for anybody who was not here last week, kind of the homework, if you will, that I gave was getting really curious and getting clear on what is the thing, what's the question, what's the thought, what's the limiting belief that is in your way, that if you had clarity and awareness and understanding around, that you feel like that would create a massive breakthrough for you. So we talked about the doing, right? Sometimes doing more, sometimes that's the answer. But ultimately, we know we have these roadblocks in our unconscious mind, right? The part of our brain that's running the show that we are not conscious of, it's got blocks and it's got barriers and it's got walls built that until we become aware of the specificity around them, they're going to keep getting in the way. And really, what it comes down to is there is doing. We know that there's doing. We are in a space, in an industry, in a culture where there's a lot of talk about doing, doing more. What are you doing? What aren't you doing? Doing. I am a firm believer that while doing more is oftentimes some of the answer, we also get to look at how we're being, our ways of being, and how we're presenting ourselves and coming to the table, right? And some of this is attached to doing, right? Like if we aren't really good at handling objections and we just keep dialing more without becoming better, right? Without learning and becoming the kind of person who can handle those objections, right? When it comes to this skill. So there's some overlap, right, with being and doing. Because if we don't look at what we need to get better at and we don't get better at it, we can do more, but we're just going to generate more of the same result by doing more. Has anybody had that experience? Like you do more, but you just get more of the same result, not necessarily better results, or more tempting. Like if you've had that experience, like cool, I did more, but it didn't necessarily generate more results. Drop a three in the chat if that resonates. So it's it can't be one or the other, right? We get to focus on and become aware of how we're being and the energy that we are, the posturing, the energy, kind of the way we're standing, right? That posture is so important. And we also have to have the action. We can't just be in this wonderful frame of mind, right? In this like make believe manifestation world where people are like, I'm just going to think about it. I'm going to put it on my vision board and I'm going to think about it. I'm going to want it. I'm going to be so grateful for it, and I'm just gonna wait for it to show up on my doorstep. Cool. That doesn't work either. We need both. We need the being, we need the doing. So the homework was to get clear, to get curious of what is that one thing. And as promised, y'all, we're gonna do a little hot seat coaching. Who would like to volunteer to share their thing and open themselves up to a little coaching from yours truly here? Do we have any brave souls that wanna chat about their one thing? If Kimberly is like, absolutely not. I don't want to do that. All right, let's see who said they did their homework. Jeanette, you did your homework. Kimberly, you did your homework.
I misunderstood though. I was thinking the invite. I tried, but you can't
Oh, that was
lead a
another
horse.
piece of home. Yep, I did ask you guys to invite a friend. Oh, that was one piece of homework.
You
All right.
can lead a horse to water, but you can't always make it drink. So
Well, we do our best. All right. Okay. Does anybody who was not here last week, who didn't do homework, have a limiting belief, a thought, a roadblock, somewhere they keep getting stuck or something that they know is in the way and they just want to move past it, wants to be on camera and unmute and chat about it? You guys are missing out. This is good. This is good stuff. All right, Rick. What do you
Very honestly, sometimes with different energy levels, a little wind is out of my sails and I get call reluctance
got? Hmm.
for picking up the phone and making those 100 dials. Or very honestly, if I get a no-show, I get a little depressed, a little call reluctance after that.
Yeah.
So I need
Okay.
to
So talk to
have
me
that.
about, yeah, talk to me about call reluctance. What's the feeling? Like what's going on in your head when that phone starts to feel heavy?
Uh, that I'm imposing, that unfortunately, I'm just about ready to put in my SLO, so I'm still grinding through the H's and G's and a few above that. So I guess it's the massive rejection at that level.
Yeah. Yeah. So a fear, there's the response to a rejection, right? If you have a no-show, something like that, right? And we are telling ourselves it's rejection. That's one part of it, but then the fear of future rejection. So, Rick, tell me this. When was the first time in your life you can remember feeling rejected?
Are you serious? Let's see, when I was 3 years old and a crab bit me on the belly button at Quantico Bay, Rhode Island, and my uncle saved me. So that's the first time I feel I'm sorry.
Yeah.
On the social level with selling the insurance,
No, I don't care about the social level of selling insurance. That memory was so strong that you were able to go, your brain went there as soon as I asked the question.
yes.
Your brain there. So I want you to go back there. And what was that experience like? What did that feel like?
Well, I was a happy little go lucky kid walking up to a bushel basket. And one of those little guys reached over and grabbed me and put me into a state of pain and extreme fear.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. My daughter's almost 3 years old. Like I can't even imagine. And you said your uncle was there with you? Your uncle saved you?
My Uncle Al, my hero, my best uncle of life, came over, whacked a little crab. That was the end of it. But I still never forgot the event. Sorry.
Yeah, no, do not apologize. So in that moment, right, your little brain is developing, is figuring out how this world works, right? If A happens, then B happens. So what did you make that mean about you? Like what story did you tell yourself after that happened, whether it was about the fear, the pain? What do you think you took from that experience?
uh, Security from my loving relatives. I don't think it gave me any permanent fears because I do love all animals and get along with dogs, right? And everything. But I am sometimes during the week experiencing call reluctance
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Well, and I hear you wanting to come back to the present, right? Come back to like, no, but this is about insurance, but this is about my call reluctance. This is about that. But there is something, especially because when I asked you, when's the first time you felt that way and you went there is something that has stuck with you, whether it was just the fear, right, of like that happened, and now we're going to be reluctant to walk up to, that kind of, like it creates a reluctance for how we're gonna behave, right? The next time we see a bushel of crap, maybe we're not gonna approach it, right? And so what we learned actually was a protection mechanism. You learned how to protect yourself in a way. And we are doing this all day, every day, especially as children, right? By the time we're 8 years old, we have these protection mechanisms built up. And so that reluctance is a form of protection. And there is a part, right? There is a part of your brain that's working very, very hard to keep you safe, right? And so if the feeling of rejection doesn't feel good, then your brain is going to kick in and say, well, just don't do the thing. Don't do the thing that's going to make you feel the way that that felt. But when you can bring that and kind of have that conversation of noticing, like, okay, I'm feeling reluctant, and I know that that is a way that my brain is keeping me safe from feeling that again. What could your experienced, mature, logical brain like have to say about that? Like what can you tell that voice that's like, I just want to keep you safe. You're not safe. I want to keep you safe. So just don't do the thing. What does your conscious brain have to say about that?
Very good question. I, I, I'm not sure.
What would Jim have to say about that? What would your mentor have to say to that? If you went to them with that voice, what do you think the response would be from a coach or a mentor, or somebody that you respect?
They'll probably just say it's never going to happen again in your life. And it didn't really physically, permanently harm you. And, but I'm trying to transfer those feelings over to the call reluctance for.
Yeah, yeah. So I think for you, Rick, and again, this isn't something we can solve in 15 minutes, but I think for you, if you can take on the recognition that that reluctance, that fear, is a way that your brain is trying to protect you. And then your conscious brain can come in and say, hey, brain, you're actually safe, right? Another rejection, another no-show, another, dial session where nobody answers or nobody wants to talk to me. It's not going to kill you, and it's not going to hurt as bad as that crab bite hurt. And so your conscious brain can come in and say, you're safe, and remind you why you're doing what you're doing, right? So what starts to happen? This is the superpower we talked about last week, right? The superpower is, can we bring that unconscious thought into the conscious mind so that we can kind of reason with our brain and be like, hey, thank you so much for keeping me safe. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to be physically injured by picking up that phone. And some of it is just making the decision that, like, you're willing to feel that feeling again because you understand that it's not going to be a long-term effect. And if anything, doing that thing that you're scared to do or that you're feeling reluctant to do is going to get you over the hump and get you to where you want to go and to get you the goals that you really want. Because that's the other thing, is our brain is keeping us from all the things that we want, because that is all different and it's all new and it's all change. And our brain doesn't like any of that, doesn't want things to be different because it's unknown and it doesn't like the unknown. So what I would recommend for you, Rick, and anybody who, like, drop a 4 in the chat if there's something about this that's resonating, if something is clicking for you, right? It might not be a crab bite for you. It might be not be physical pain for you, but it might be an experience that you can see, oh, that's when my protection mechanism was kind of developed. And throughout my life, I began to strengthen it. And every step of the way, it got stronger and it got stronger because I was looking for the proof that it was right. And so for you, Rick, I would say, whether it's journaling or voice memoing, but like taking on that role to like play that voice out, the voice that's saying, don't pick up the phone because you might get rejected and that hurts. And I don't want to feel that way. And so I just don't do it. Literally close your journal and that voice note, go do something that feels good, right? Whether it's eating a snack, going for a walk, having a dance party, whatever you can do to kind of raise that energy up, come back to that voice memo or that journal, and now take on that, like, I'm going to coach myself perspective. The like, you know what you know now, which is that rejection, that feeling of discouragement, that feeling of defeat isn't going to kill you, isn't going to hurt you. And if anything, when we can get over that and consciously decide to take that action, that that volume's gonna get turned down. Every time you can say, I'm feeling the reluctance, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We're turning down the volume on the reluctance. We're turning down the volume on the discouragement and the defeat and the pain and the fear. And so it truly is, it's like it's feeling the fear and doing it anyway, right? Um, we're already over time. I hope that supports. Rick, you tell me just briefly, is that supportive?
Very much so.
Get curious, right? That's what we've been talking about. Get curious about what's coming up. Drop a 5 in the chat if you were not on Spotlight. And thank you. Big ups. Let's give Rick a round of applause for being brave, for putting that out there. He did not know where we were going with that. And I love that you're like, are you serious? Like, are we doing this right now? Yes, we are. So proud of you. It's really big. And I do think that these kinds of what I call hot seat coaching opportunities, Rick, what you just shared and what you just allowed us to do absolutely made an impact on other people. Because we've all got those stories. We've all got the call reluctance. We all have not wanted to pick up that phone. And that is the moment when our brain is activating every protection mechanism that it has learned because it wants to keep us safe from the defeat, from the rejection, from the fear of failure, fear of success, whatever it is, right? Like that's where we feel it when we start to dial. So if we can overcome that. That's doing the work, right? That's what we've been talking about. That's doing the work. We can change that thought process. That's becoming the next version of ourselves that's no longer bound or restricted by this fear that was developed when we were 3 before we even understood that, that animal could potentially be dangerous, right? So, thank you so much to Rick. Proud of you. Thank you for being brave. For the rest of you, I hope that was supportive. And again, invite a friend. Y'all, Jim shouted this out yesterday. I know there's going to be some more in ways of getting more people on here, but if this was supportive, if this was valuable, invite a friend, bring a buddy next week. And I will see you guys in the Mac room. Happy Saturday.